Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, and give all praises to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson this afternoon, gives us more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past, in order to understand the events that are currently happening, so we get a much better understanding of things that are soon to come on the earth. We're going to go on part 2 of the medieval empire of the Israelites. We're going to be doing quite a few parts from many of these books. And in between, we'll be talking about other subjects as well. There's so much going on that I could do videos every couple hours, the way things are going on top of the books, on top of the information, because there's just so much that is happening. The Most High is truly turning this world upside down. But let's jump into this book right from the get-go here. We're going to read about, and what you're going to see is that these people from the 3 parts, these Gentiles, the Most High is going to expose radically in these books. You're going to understand why when I've been talking to all these camps and all these groups and all these Christians and all these Catholics to prove that we are only supposed to read 80 books. They can't prove it. Just like most of their history, they can't prove. And usually when anybody comes with any facts or any opposition to what they say, they don't try to disprove what you're saying. They just try to hide the information. It's the same MO. People talk about how we're crazy for reading other books. But then when we tell them to prove the 80, they go silent. They just tell you, don't listen to that crazy Negro over there. Don't listen to him. He's going off. That's all they can say, because they can't prove 80 books. They can't prove anything that they're saying. And they've been doing the same thing throughout history. And you're going to hear this right now. Take a look here. Let me see which page this is, so I can read it straight from the page. This is page 46 of the medieval empire of the Israelites. Just going to read a couple paragraphs here. Jean Hordouin thought that Jesus Christ and his apostles, if they existed at all, should have been able to deliver his sermons in Latin. He was certain that the Greek translations of the New and Old Testaments were made much later than is thought by the church. So all the timing is all messed up. Okay? It says, among the others who were exposed as forgers of the classics of Christianity, he named Saint Augustine. Okay? The validity of whose works he did not acknowledge. So he doesn't even acknowledge St. Augustine's works. Okay? Now, if someone's coming up here and saying that you're forging all this stuff, you should be able to pull out the facts. You should be able to pull out, the information that proves that what you're saying is true. Is that what the church does? Well, let's find out. Okay. Finally, and go into the validity. Christian, he made a St. Augustine, the validity of whose works he did not acknowledge. Finally, he appealed for Newton to stop speaking about ancient times that didn't exist in any event. So he's telling these people, stop saying things that, that are ancient Greeks, ancient Romans. And you hear that a lot when you're listening to things on television. You'll hear them talking about the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans, and I just laugh. I laughed before I even got this book. But now it's going to be even more laughable when you hear them talking about the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans. I was like, if you got Babylonians, you got Egyptians, you've got all, you said the Persians and Medes, all before the Greeks. So how is it they keep calling themselves ancient people when there was all these other societies way before them? But they're trying to add, so you make sure you guys, when you guys listen to these historical shows, they're always talking about the ancient Romans and ancient Greeks. This guy's right here, he's closer to these times. And he's telling them that there's no such these places were never ancient. There's no such thing as ancient Greeks and ancient Romans. So again, let's read that one more time. Okay, finally, he appealed for Newton to stop speaking about ancient times that didn't exist in any event. Jean Houdin considered the burning of Troy to have been the destruction of Jerusalem. Hold on. Here goes my phone. Because he didn't like me bringing this out, so wants to start talking here. Let's see here. Finally, he appealed for Newton to stop speaking about ancient times that didn't exist in any event. John Houdin considered the burning of Troy to have been the destruction of Jerusalem. This is congruent, by the way, with the point of view of contemporary critics relative to the identity of ancient Troy, Jerusalem, and Constantinople. See, they talk about they combine all these places. You're going to see that in a lot of these writings. I'm going to bring out more information about how they pretty much made them like kind of synonymous, Jerusalem and Constantinople. Okay, the majority of Houdin's works were forbidden by the church. Here we go in 1739 and to 1742. So here, this is what happens when the church can't explain something. They just forbid you from reading it. They hide the information because it doesn't go along with their narrative. Now, fast forward to today. I have all these people for years telling me I can't read this book, can't read that book. Then I told them, hey, prove it. I said, because all you're doing is hiding information just like the church does. The church is the one that has hidden all these books. The church is the one that's ordained the hiding of Enoch, Jasher, antediluvian works, all that information because it doesn't pertain to them. It was the stuff that they found when they came over here, and they hid it all. So in order for them to make up, give themselves power, they had to hide who had the real authority. So what do they do? Just like they do now, they suppress information. Just like now and all the way till today, they suppress the truth. They suppress the other books. They suppress the writings of the 10 tribes. They suppress the writings of the antediluvians. So check this out again. That's very important because this is how they always deal with how they always deal with someone who comes and pretty much has does not accept their authority. They just say, oh, well, you know what? You can't listen to them. You can't read their books. I mean, they take their ball and go home, just like a little kid. So again, the majority of Jean Houdin's works were forbidden by the church in 1739 through 1742, and included in the index of forbidden books. Their outright suppression began at this point. So that's what they started doing, just suppressing the information. That's all that they do. So anytime that we bring out more truth, they try to suppress it, try to hide it, try to hide, how many people are actually really reading or listening to the videos, looking at the information. They're trying to, hide how much we're growing. Because as we know in Jacob 5, as we grow, they get taken down. But this is what they've been doing this entire time. Okay? So their outright suppression began at this point. I'm going to read a little bit more down, okay? It says, after Jean Houdin's death, the majority of ancient sources disclosed by him were gradually rehabilitated. So pretty much a lot of the information that he was bringing out that was destroying their history, after he died, they had to rehabilitate this information because he had already just, cut the legs off and shown that this information was not true. So after his death, they went ahead with, the psyop of making it seem like that information was actually accurate and that there was no one going to pretty much bring that information down. So again, let's read that. After Jean Houdin's death, the majority of ancient sources disclosed by him were gradually rehabilitated and are included today in the stock of historical works taken seriously by science. Okay, I'm going to keep on reading one more paragraph, okay? Once the questions of forgeries has been broached, it will be appropriate to note that these forgeries were not all composed in the Middle Ages. One of the most fantastic, you know what? I'm going to actually read this one on another video. Let me stop it on that one for right now, okay? Because there's more. On every page, there's more and more. information. Let's go to the next one. This one's another crazy one right here. I think it's page 49. The information, like I said, in this book is just absolutely amazing. And you're going to see, we're going to keep on hitting it with just, as we find out more information, keep bringing more and more of it out. All right, we're going to read the middle there. At the end of the 19th century, this is page 49, okay? The Swiss scholar Robert Baldauf, a private senior instructor of the University of Basel, applied the method of comparative philological analysis and studying the books of the Old Testament. What he discovered is set forth in two histories and criticisms. And Robert Baldauf discovered obvious parallels of the Old Testament with the knightly romances of the Middle Ages, and at the very same time with the Iliad of Homer. Robert Baldauf simply had to consider both the Bible and Iliad as written in the latter Middle Ages. Okay, so either if this information was, if they even had it, they got it, and then they made other stories off of it. But their timeline is getting really screwed up. And okay, let's continue. Julius Caesar's Gallic Wars, as also his civil wars, according to Robert Baldauf, is a late forgery. Summing up his research, Robert Baldauf wrote, "Our Romans and Greeks were Italian humanists." So the Romans and Greeks were these Italians. They're the same people. It says all of them, Homer, Sophocles, Aristotle, and many other ancient writers who were thrown about by historians over many centuries, according to Robert Baldauf, were the children of one century. All these people are all of one century. But their home was not ancient Rome and not ancient Hellas, but Italy of the 14th and 15th centuries. So you see, as they start, people start doing some more research and going into these other, their histories, they realize that a lot of this stuff was all forgeries, was not true. So, and it would make sense because, like I said, the devil is a liar. Is it not? Is it not true? Lies about absolutely everything. So it started to make more sense as to how they didn't have anything over here, none of this great information, until they were allowed to come over to the promised land. And then it get exposed to all of the technologies that we had, all of the history that we had, and then bring it over here and then reverse engineer it and then make it seem as if it was theirs. So, that's why the world is now going to hell in a handbasket at this point, because the Most High is revealing the truth and revealing the fact that these people have absolutely no power, no authority whatsoever. And the more that this information comes out, the deeper, this society falls into the darkness. Because many of these people, and all these things that are going on, they seem to think that they have the authority. They think that they have, they have the opportunity to continue to tell us absolutely everything. And you got a lot of people who are like, well, this information is great, but we need to be doing this, and that. This is all part of the rehabilitation of the Most High's chosen people. When you start to understand about the fact that they didn't have anything over there in the three parts, nothing comparable to what we have over here in the Americas, then it starts to make sense as to, how much deeper these scriptures are, when we start to read them. I want to read real quick one that I've read many times, but it starts to make much more sense when you start to, you get into these histories, and you start to understand why they've hidden all these histories. I'm going to go to Psalms 50. and 20, 50 and 20. When they're making it seem like they've raised themselves up into be these lofty positions. They were these kings and these dukes, and I had all this marvelous history and all these things that they've done, and how the Most High has been with them the whole time. But now that this Most High is now switching everything up and giving us our true understanding back of who we are and also who they are, it starts to make much more sense. Let's take a look at Psalms 50 and 20 and go down. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's sons. Now that slandering goes much deeper. The slandering is that we don't have a history. The slandering is that before, 1619 in slavery, we had no history. That's how they slandered us also. They slandered us, making us think that we've always been slaves and that they've always been noble. They've always lived in nobility. See, these scriptures are going to be much deeper. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. You slandered the Most High's chosen people. You made it seem as if we didn't have a history, that we've always been nothing but slaves, dumbed down at the bottom. But now we're realizing that that's not the case. Actually, you're the ones that have been at the bottom. You're the ones that didn't have a history. 21. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself. Yes, you took our history. You faked your history. You took ours away from us. You applied it to you. You made your good times Jesus, and you made him think that he was always with you. So again, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself. That's exactly what's been happening this entire time. That's why you think that you can make up laws that protect your police officers. And then these police officers think that, I'm following orders and that, these orders are coming from God. Well, yeah, they're coming from the fake God that was made up. They're coming from good times Jesus that allows you to shoot our people down in the streets so you can enjoy your good time. So many people that are in these, police officers, militaries, things like that, saying that I was just following orders is not going to help you at the end, because you are following the orders of the God of this world. So let me continue. Such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. That set in order is what you're seeing right now. The destruction of your history, the destruction of your lies, and the building up of his people. Us realizing where we came from, us realizing where you got all your information from, us realizing that you stole everything from us in order to raise yourself up. Okay? Like I said, these as you get more information, historical information, we're getting this from the Spirit. We're getting this from the Most High's. The Holy Spirit is giving us this information back. The Holy Spirit has been sent to renew us as a people, to realize to understand that we were a great people, and that everyone envied us, and that they took all of our history and applied it to themselves. So it's much more than just slave ships. There's a whole lot more going on than just that. That's why many of the things in Deuteronomy 28 fit over here. And if we go back and start reading, we're going to see even more. Okay? So this is just a little taste of some more information that's going to be coming. I said, it's a whole lot of people have done like a lot of research. The Most High put it on them to do all this research and bring it all together so that in time, when it was our time, we will be able to get this information and bring it back to the people. Many people in this world still listen to these churches that have been shown to have no power. And now we're going to show that they have not only no power, but they actually have no history and no authority to do all the things that they've been doing. We're bringing, Daniel 7:25, we're bringing it out and giving it even more life to much more than just the Sabbath day, to much more than just the calendar. They've also lied about history. They've lied about whose history belongs to who. Authority. Who has the authority? Whose power is the true power of this world? That's what we're going to be finding out as we get even more into this book. All praise is to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.